Okay, good evening. This is Unit 8B, Lesson 4, Scatter Plots and Correlation. Our learning target, I can graph a scatter plot in a coordinate plane and describe and analyze correlation. Here's our warm-up. Below is a chart of numbers of hours students studied for Unit 8A algebra test and their grades. Graph the data on the graph to the left. Label all axes appropriately. So we have to label. So what that means is I'm going to say this is my test grades and these are my hours studied. Why did I label it like that? Well, we always say this is our table, here's our X, here's our Y. So our hours studied is our X, this is our X axis, and this is our Y axis. Then we also have to put some units on there. So we'll call that 0. For hours study going across, I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can fill all those numbers in if we want. There's 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Going up, I have the test grades. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm not going to fit them on the graph. I need to go up to over 98. So up to 100 I have to go to. So what could I do? Could I do 5s? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. Still can't fit it on it. Let's go by 10s. So this is going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So that's what we're talking about when we say label all axes appropriately, with the name and the numbers. Now I just have to start plotting some points. So I'm going to plot 0, 55, so between 50 and 60. Put a point. I'm going to plot 5 and 85, so 5 and 85. Okay? I'm going to keep plotting until I get all these points on here, which is going to look just like that. So as I plot all these, I plotted all these points. I ended up with 1 and 45 right there. So what that is, what we just created is a scatter plot. So this is a scatter plot, a bunch of points that are just scattered. So a scatter plot is a graph that is used to determine whether there is a relationship between paired data. So these are pairs, 1 and 45, 2 and 75. So this scatter plot is used to determine whether there's a relationship. So that's all we have to do for a scatter plot. We just plot the points, but we have to label the name and the numbers. Okay? So for correlation, this is where we use those scatter plots. If y tends to increase, so y, where does y increase? Well, it increases when it goes up. So if y tends to increase as x increases, the paired data is said to have a positive correlation. Meaning, if I look from left to right, if I look at all the y values going up and down, so these y values, there's a y value, there, 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 there. These are all going up, the y values. Okay, so y's are increasing. They're starting out down here and they're increasing. If I look at my x values going from left to right, my x values over here, here's negative, 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 0, positive. So these x values are getting bigger. They're increasing. So y's are increasing, x's are increasing. That line looks like that. Positive slope, positive correlation. Okay? That's all this means. As y's increase, going up, x's increase. So if y tends to decrease, so if I look at my y values here, going from left to right, this y value is pretty high. The next value, lower, lower, lower. They're getting lower. So y's are decreasing. What are the x values doing? Well, I look left to right. Here's my x value here, straight up and down. Here's another x value as I move over this way. As I move left to right, what are the x values doing? They're still increasing. So this is negative. Here's negative, here's 0. Now these x values are getting to be positive. So I'm looking at the x values. They're increasing. So as y's are decreasing, x's are increasing. That is a negative correlation, or negative slope. Negative slope, negative correlation. If x and y's have no apparent relationship, the paired data is said to have relatively no correlation. Meaning, I go left to right, I look at this y. Alright, it's up here. Now I look at this y, it's there. I look at this y, it's down. These two y's, one's up, one's down. Now I look at this, it's here. Now this goes up. Doesn't really do anything. When I'm looking at the y's, I'm sorry, that was the x's. So then if I look at the y's, going from left to right, those were the y's, I'm sorry. How high and how low they were, that's the y's. They were just all over the place. They didn't increase or decrease as we went this way. What about the x's? So the x values. Here's an x value, here. They seem like they're all over the place too. So there's relatively no correlation. I really couldn't put a line through there, could I? That would represent that. So no correlation. So here's what we do. For example 1, tell whether the following scatter plots have a positive correlation, a negative correlation, or relatively no correlation. So we just want to see where those lines, those scatter plots line up. So this, as I look at this from left to right, this y is up here. This y's down, this y's up a little bit, but these go down, down, down. So the y's are decreasing. Y's are decreasing. What about the x values? The x values, -3, they're increasing. They're going from -3 to -1 to 0 to 1 to 2. So if I look at my sheet, y's decrease as x increases. This is a negative correlation. Okay? X's are increasing, y's are decreasing. What about this one? When I look at my y values here, going from left to right, my y values start out here. They're getting bigger. Okay, that y values are getting bigger. What are the x values doing? From -2 to -1, they're getting bigger. So x's are getting bigger, y's are getting bigger. Positive, whoops, there it is. So the x's are getting bigger, y's, it's a positive correlation. Okay? And if I drew a line there, that looks like a positive slope. What about this one? Well, these x's, what are the x's doing? They're getting bigger. There's 0, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. X's are increasing. What are the y's doing? As I go left to right, the y starts down here, -3. It goes up, 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 up. Y's are increasing. So a positive correlation. Or if I drew a line there, that's a positive slope. Okay, what about here? Does it look like I could draw any kind of line there? No, let's look at the x's. X's are -3. Then it goes to -2, -1. So the x's are kind of increasing. But what are the y's doing? The y's are going 0, up to 1, down to -3, up to -1, up to 0, down. Y's are all over the place. So no correlation. And that's it for the video for tonight. So after this video, we're going to fill this out. You're going to try and do some scatter plots here. So these U tries you can do, you're going to make some scatter plots. You're going to tell what that correlation is, positive or negative. Okay? So, coming soon to a theater or smartphone or laptop or whatever your device is. The following preview has been approved for all audience by the Motion Picture Association.